that rain. It's supposed to be coming down harder today, but that's okay because today we're going to be making some bread. Hello, we're in the kitchen. Today we're going to be making some bread, and I already started getting my stuff out and about for that. For this recipe, you're going to need some warm water, some yeast, some sugar, some salt, a little oil, and flour. So let's get going. So first thing we're going to need is 2 cups of warm water. And then you can either use packaged active dry yeast, or what I like to use is we buy yeast in bulk and we keep that in the freezer. But we're going to proof it just to make sure that the yeast is alive. So far we have added 2 cups of warm water, 2 third cups of sugar, and 1.5 tablespoons of yeast. Again, you can use the packets, or if you're like me and you buy the yeast in bulk, you can always pull that out of the freezer. So we're gonna let this sit for about 5 minutes or so, and it should be nice and foamy, and that lets you know that the yeast is alive. If your yeast is not foamy, it's probably dead. Just go ahead and dump this out and start all over. And our timer just went off. It's been just a little over 5 minutes. The yeast is nice and foamy, and my little helper here is helping the best she can. Lilo, say hi. So the next step that we're going to add to our bread dough is going to be 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 1/4 cup of vegetable oil, and 6 cups of flour. So here is 1 teaspoon, and here is the other 1/2 teaspoon. So it's 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 1/4 cup of vegetable oil. In there. Perfect. Now I like to just mix this up for a good minute or so, just to start to get everything combined. Perfect. So now we're going to start adding in our flour, and that's going to be 6 cups. So you want to add 6 cups of flour. I am using bread flour, but you can use the all-purpose flour if you would like. That works just as well. When you go to measure out your flour, some people like to scoop it. I don't recommend doing that. The more flour you put into your cup, the heavier your bread is going to be, and you want nice and fluffy bread. I recommend taking a spoon, and I'm really sorry, I'm really trying to do this one-handed, and you're just going to fill it up 1 scoop at a time. You don't really want to compact your bread with flour. Once you do that and it's filled all the way to the top, I generally just use the back end of the spoon, and you just take it and you level it off. Okay. But we're not using that flour because I already have my 6 cups of flour. So now we're going to take this. Generally want it on low speed for about 8 minutes. And that's going to help form your gluten in your bread. So we started out nice and on slow speed. Once all that flour is incorporated, go ahead and turn your mixer speed up. Otherwise you'll end up with a flour shower, and nobody wants that. And now we're going to let this beat for about 8 minutes. So timer just went off. It has been 8 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and shut this off. And we're going to go ahead and lower our bowl. Take this off. See how that's nice and stringy or stretchy? That means your gluten, pretty much your dough has enough gluten in it. We're gonna take this over to the counter, which I have already put flour on. You really don't need much more flour than that. Because again, we want to make this bread nice and fluffy. So, be back in just a moment. Okay, everybody, so my bread is on the counter. We're going to be putting that in a bowl in just a moment. So I have my bowl here. I'm going to show you what we do to that first before I put that in the oven. But a trick I like to do, I will actually preheat my oven to 200 degrees. Because once I get the bread in here, I'm going to put a cloth over it and we're going to put it in the oven. So guys, I'm just taking good old-fashioned cooking spray in a stainless steel bowl and spraying that down. Now, I'm going to take my flour. Not really doing much kneading because we did that in the mixer. It helps to get some of the gas bubbles out. In this bread recipe, the bread's pretty forgiving. So now I'm just gonna take the dough and I'm gonna form it into a ball. Here's my dough ball, and that's gonna go in the bowl. Now the oven is 200 degrees, so I'm gonna go ahead and shut that off. I'm gonna wait just one moment because I don't want to cook my bread. Back in just a moment. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I have taken a damp cloth, so it does have some water on it, and just simply putting it over the bread, okay. And then this is going to go right into the oven. I have set the timer for about 45 minutes. We'll be back on check on that in 45 minutes and we'll see if it's doubled in size. The flour on the counter, as you can see here, that's okay. We're gonna leave that there. Just because when you take the dough out of the oven, you're gonna wanna put it on the counter to form it into your loaf of bread for the bread pan. So go ahead and leave that flour on the counter. You don't have to clean up just yet. So I just took our bread out of the oven from the first rise. We're going to go ahead and punch that down. And we're going to be dividing this into 2 loaves. So you're going to add a little flour. Again, you're not really adding extra flour. This is just the flour we had on the counter. You're going to put it into a little ball again. And if you don't have one of these knives, I really recommend getting it. I call it a dough knife, people call it a scraper. It just makes it really handy in the kitchen. So you're going to cut your dough in half. And we're going to form this into 2 little dough logs for our bread pans. Okay, so what I'm doing, I have my little loaf, just sort of kind of flattening out like you would if you were rolling it with a rolling pin. We don't really have to do that. And then I just sort of roll it a little. Okay, and then I'm just going to tuck in the ends. Okay, and then that's going to go in our bread pan. Yeah. So now we're gonna take our 2 little loaves of bread. We're actually gonna put them back into the oven, which you can either put back to 200 degrees for just a few minutes, or it should be warm from when you preheated it before. You're gonna let that go for another 20 minutes. So I just took the 2 loaves of bread out of the oven. I am preheating the oven to 325, and after the oven's preheated, they're gonna go back into the oven for about 25 minutes, and then we will have 2 fresh loaves of bread. Oh, I can't wait. And it's gonna smell really good. I did forget to mention that I did spray the pans with cooking spray, which you're gonna wanna do before you put the dough in the pans. So, time to put these in the oven. You wanna be careful because your oven is probably very, very hot. There's one. I want to get it centered. And then here is the second one. Okay, goes nice in the middle. And close that. So the bread just came out of the oven. We are going to be transferring this onto the counter again so that the bread can cool. There's one. And here is the second one. Oh, they look good. Okay, perfect. So one thing that I like to do, as soon as you get the bread out of the oven, use a knife, use a spoon, whatever you got. I have a little brush. We're just gonna brush a little butter on the bread. And you wanna make sure you do the entire loaf. And this is gonna help give the bread a nice soft crust. So that is the finished product. I don't know about you, but I think it looks really good. We're now gonna let this cool before we slice into it, which you wanna do for every loaf of bread. It'll give the bread a chance to stiffen up. We'll see you back in a little bit because you're gonna see how I'm gonna slice this in. So our bread has cooled completely, and now we get the joy of cutting into it. And fluffy this bread is. We're gonna take that. Doesn't it look good? So here is the first slice of the homemade bread. It's so good. I wish I could share, but it's good. Well, everybody, that's it for today. Hope you liked it. Hope you'll subscribe. Who knows what we'll do next, but until next time, bye.